Hey guys, how y'all doing out there? Y'all doing good? I'm just making this video. I'm just curious to know what your guys' opinions are of the top 10 bass players of all time. I just looked at a list. I think it was fairly recent from Rolling Stone magazine, and the top 10 are number 10 Victor Wooten, number 9 Cliff Burton, number 8 Jack Bruce, number 7 Jaco Pastorius, number 6 John Paul Jones, number 5 Les Claypool, number 4 Geddy Lee, number 3 Paul McCartney, number 2 Flea, and number 1 John Entwistle. Now, I sort of, I don't know, I kind of mixed that up a little bit. I mean, there's, first off, when I looked at that list, people that stand out for me, like, to me, Geezer Butler should have been on that list, I think. I mean, Black Sabbath pioneered heavy music, and Geezer was quite the bass player. He's a hell of a bass player. Stu Hamm, he's incredible. He's like Victor Wooten. Just really funky style. And Steve Harris too from Iron Maiden. Where is he? He should be on that list, I think. I mean, he wrote practically, every Iron Maiden song. So he's done his share in the bass world. But for me, my favorite bass player ever is Cliff Burton from Metallica, because I just think that he's incredible. I mean, he's number 9 on that list. I know that definitely one of those guys on that list would not agree with Cliff being way back so high and him being so low, and that would be Flea. Now, I'm not going to diss Flea at all. I think Flea is an awesome bass player. I don't cover any Red Hot Chili Peppers material or whatever, but I think he's one amazing bass player for what he does and the different styles and whatnot. But he's also a good person, so I think you have the both. Like, it kind of works out pretty good, I guess. But whenever he inducted Metallica into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2009, I'm just gonna give you some quotes. Talked about breaking Metallica. We're trying to break into Casey Kasem's top 10 countdown with Anesthesia Pulling Teeth. I'm just reading quotes here. He said that song is one of the great moments in rock history for bass guitar. Cliff Burton was an outstanding, superb, deep, and wicked virtuoso of a bass player. Cliff's solos are a soulful, hypodelic, headbanging expression of a masterpiece of a human being. Then he says Cliff Burton rules. He said the space he created will never be filled. God bless Cliff Burton, he rules. So, if you were going to put Flea at number 2, and Flea felt that way about Cliff Burton, there's no way that Flea would say, no, Cliff Burton should be ahead of me. And Flea would probably more than likely say that, because, I mean, he's just an honest, really good person. So, I mean, I don't know if this was a reader's poll, or if this was, they're not, whoever came up with this poll, I think it was Rolling Stone magazine. I mean, a lot of people don't always agree with their polls and whatnot, the top 100 solos, or the top 100 guitar players, or all of this and that, or whatever. But for the top 10 bass players, John Entwistle at number 1. I don't know. I think somebody like Geddy Lee is probably better than him. I'm gonna say that. John Paul Jones. Yeah, I mean he was good with Zeppelin and stuff, but I don't know. It's such a when lists like this come out, they're so debatable. Like, that's why I'm making this video. I'm just curious to see what other people think. I think Cliff Burton should be ahead of all these guys because he's my favorite. But I mean, they leave out a lot of bass players that a lot of people don't think of, But I mean, Geezer Butler is an obvious bass player that should not have been left out right there. I mean, Black Sabbath were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame way later than they should have been. But yeah, I mean, Flea saying those things about Cliff Burton says a lot for the way Flea feels about Cliff Burton and his playing, that he only had 3 albums. Cliff Burton only had Kill 'Em All, Ride Lightning, Master of Puppets. He only had 3 albums, and he has a song on And Justice for All that he wrote most of. He only had those 3 albums to prove himself, but his solos live were incredible. He never played Anesthesia from start to end live ever. I've never heard Anesthesia from start to finish live. It's always he broke it up, and tragically before he died in that tour bus accident, which was not, was not. He had nothing to do with it. He was sleeping in his bunk. The bus rolls over and he gets thrown out the window, and boom, the bus lands on him, kills a legend. Bus driver was never charged. Later, he's known to be later on in life to be driving around other bands and such. After having an accident or whatever, claiming he hit black ice. James himself said he'd walk for miles looking for this black ice. I don't think you're gonna get black ice in September, where they were on their way to Copenhagen when Cliff died. But if you listen to Cliff's solos in the year Master of Puppets was released in 1986, his solos were just unbelievable. He played. A lot of people don't realize it, but he played a lot of Voodoo Child by Hendrix in his bass solos. You can there's some I can just think of off the top of my head. Cape Girardeau, Missouri, I think it's May 24th, 86. Davenport, Iowa, May 30th, 86, I believe it is. If you can find those those bass solos that Cliff did, I have them myself on MP3 because I'm a Cliff Burton fanatic. But listen to his solos, and Cliff's solos were incredible, and he was getting really, really like virtuoso, really big time, with his solos. Even if you watch Cliff and Wall, the solo that he played at Metallica's second show, it's it's not super fast, but whenever Lars kicks in with the drums, Cliff just goes off, and he's just crazy, and just the stuff he's doing there in that bass solo, and that's from '83. Metallica didn't even release Kill 'Em All yet. Cliff was only 21, 60. He was born in 1962. So Cliff was 21 years old. So if you're going to look at the timeline of Cliff Burton's life, he wrote Anesthesia probably when he was about 18, 19 years old. And that is defined as one of the greatest bass solos of all time. Bass solo, take one. Okay, we know what we're in for here. Then you hear that from start to finish. It's like a fucking train just coming in, and just boom, just blasting through the wall, like from start to finish. It's just insane. And at the end, what he's doing there with his tapping the pickups and scratching his nails along the strings, that effect there, it sounds like a train there derailing, and it's incredible. But I don't know if you guys have seen that list. Like I said, Victor Wooten, Cliff Burton, Jack Bruce from Cream, Jaco Pastorius, Weather Report, John Paul Jones from excuse me, Zeppelin, Les Claypool, Primus, Geddy Lee, Rush, Paul McCartney, Beatles, Flea, Red Hot Chili Peppers, John Entwistle, The Who. So give me your guys' thoughts on who you think should be the best, or what would be your top 10 bass players. I never really wrote up a list of my own, I guess. For me, Cliff Burton's just number one, but I'm not saying that Cliff Burton is better than all these guys. These guys have had 40, 30 years or more to prove themselves, to show what they could do. Cliff had such little time to do, to prove himself, to show himself to the world. So, before he was tragically killed, and most people have to play a role in their death, and he didn't. His death is like Randy Rhoads, or Buddy Holly and Richie Valens, in the Big Bopper. They're just in a plane that crashed. Randy Rhoads going up in a plane. The guy lost control, crashed, killed him. Bus accident with Cliff Burton. Went through the window, the bus landed on him. By all accounts, according to Metallica and the guys, Cliff never woke up. So if you're gonna go, I guess it's probably best that you don't feel it in your sleep or whatnot. But anyhow, give me your guys' feedback. Who do you think would be the top 10 bass players for you? And I'd be interested to see you guys post your top 10 list. I'm going to post a link to Flea's speech at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducting Metallica in 2009. I'm going to post the link for that video of where he talks about Cliff Burton. And you'll see what he says about Cliff Burton. So I think that Flea would say, Cliff Burton should probably be ahead of me. I'm guessing he would say that. But Flea's just an amazing person. I find out of like there's so many egos in music stuff, but when a guy like Flea, you can tell that he's genuine. He's a good guy, and he's a good player. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Who's your top 10 favorite bass players? See you in the next one.